Hey everybody, this is Mr. Optimistic. Today we are talking about how to warm up and dip in a little bit, well mostly, into injury prevention. So usually a lot of people do just a basic general warm up. Maybe some people do 10 minutes or 15 minutes of cardio on the treadmill, 10 minutes on the stair stepper, or some warm up that they saw or been doing for the last like 10 years. So what I try to do, because I don't want to spend 2 hours in the gym or anything like that, it's pretty much when I walk in and I usually see the workout before. If I'm doing power snatches or split jerks, for example, I just try to feel my body when I'm just moving around with the bar. So as you see right here, my pecs were a little bit tight from a couple of days ago, so just kind of working those kinks out. And I usually try to do some like muscle work, as you saw right there in the beginning of the video, just kind of poking around, seeing what's going on. The way I like to think about it is doing like a series of system checks, and while I'm doing these little pass-throughs right here, I'm like, okay, maybe my back's a little bit tight. Just kind of move these arms around, see if anything maybe pops in a good way, not a bad way, but just kind of just getting the body generally warm and used to some of the movements before we add a little bit of weight. So as I put the bar on my shoulders there, just try to work to see if my triceps are tight or anything like that. And usually my lats would be a little bit tight if I try to get my elbows high. And if that's the case, then I might jump on a foam roll those lats out. But everything felt pretty good. So just kind of feeling my wrist out here, because as I'm coming back from wrist injury, basically that is something that always needs to be addressed, because that's something that you hopefully forget, but you shouldn't forget. You should hopefully forget, because that means there's absolutely no pain, and you shouldn't forget because you never know when that might act up again. So as I'm doing some of these squats a little bit too, just trying to get that low back a little bit warm. I usually try to sit in the hole and just kind of push my hips down further, just to get a little more range of motion and trying to get my ankles a little bit more warmed up. So anytime I do any sort of like power snatches, I usually just try to do some just strict presses to kind of warm my joints up and just get the body mentally prepared and physically prepared, obviously, for that pressure that's going to be impacted on my wrist there. So basically when I look at the workout, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing power snatches. If we're doing anything power, typically my warm-up is a little bit shorter. I found pretty good success in just kind of getting to the chase in terms of just, okay, do some squats, just kind of get the legs generally moving. For me, it's more of a back related warm-up. And prior to me turning on the video, I did some foam rolls and just kind of got everything pushed out that was soreness related. But I just felt like I can just jump into it. Some days, again, you feel like you can almost walk into the gym, load the bar up, and just get to it. Those days are amazing. But I would say a majority of the days that you go into, you would need to address, like, oh, I need to warm up. There's a couple of issues that are going on, or a couple of things you want to just take a little bit of extra time into. And I highly suggest that, because the one time you don't is the one time you mess yourself up. And then you spend weeks in, just a horrible mental state to be in, because you physically feel, most of the time, anytime like I get anything injured, I physically feel good and my mental state is there. But when my body just feels like a little bit of pain, or when things aren't moving as good as they used to maybe a week ago, then I'm just like, dude, what's going on? So rather not you guys get into that state of mind and just kind of just push on through. So with that being said, moving on to some of the exercises I do to warm up. So for me, I like doing the bend over rows in the snatch grip to really focus on firing those lower lats and just really think of visualizing getting that bar to the hip with my lats. And I just do that just with the bar, no additional weight, just to kind of really slowly get those lats kind of fired up a little bit. If you do have any TheraBands, those are amazing to actually get everything lit up. I like putting those basically on some sort of hook that's maybe on a wall with them, and then just doing bent over rows, lat pull downs, and even shoulder raises too. Those are really good. I really like those. I also go in a full squat with the bar on my back and press from the very bottom of the hole. Now that you definitely need to work on your hip and ankle flexibility, and once you do, those really fire up the whole back. And just really emphasize that upright posture. So that really comes in clutch basically when you're catching at the bottom. You shouldn't have any issue once you do those standing up in a perfect upright position. So that really addresses anything in terms of the catch at the bottom, and basically that wrist flexibility as well. So, and I also do muscle snatches. Muscle snatches essentially are when you just grab the bar and you're at the hip position, and then your knees are bent, and then you push through and just fling that bar right above your head. Don't let go of it, but they just look like that. Those are muscle snatches. And with doing those, that basically emphasizes, as you see right here, a consistent push with your legs in that quick turnover. And doing these before you snatch, power snatch or snatch, the snatches just feel like money after, as you'll see as the video goes on, but they just feel really good. So those are one of my favorite things to warm up with. This was actually programmed, and we worked up to, I think it was like a heavy single or a heavy complex, I believe it was. But after going from those two snatches, just felt great. It was amazing. I love those. Also, drop snatches. Drop snatches are basically when you get the bar on your back, your knees are just slightly bent, and you're driving yourself under the bar, and you're catching in full extension. So when that happens, it's supposed to be very quick, very precise, and everything's supposed to be locked out at the bottom, as if you hit like a heavy 90%, right? So with going with these snatches too, as you can see a little bit, the bar's slightly getting away from me. That's something I've been trying to work on as I get into the heavier doubles. That's something when I just need to really emphasize that leg drive, so I just don't step forward, just like you saw right there. So moving on, I did do split jerks in the beginning of this video, and for me, the split jerks sometimes are harder for a lot of people who are pretty inconsistent in terms of catching in a solid position. If you do a split jerk, your front knee should not move forward. Your back leg should not be fully extended. It needs to be bent. It needs to be bent completely down. And once you do that, once you get those things consistent, then you just maybe need to do a couple of jerks and then go into, warm it up with some weight. But a couple of things that you can do if you're not consistent with doing the split jerks is that I would put a tape or maybe a line of chalk, line both of your feet about maybe 1.5 feet apart. And when you do the jerk, I would like you to pause, look down if you don't have anybody to see how your body's looking, and see if you're more left to right, or if you have too narrow of a split, if you're basically your front knees over your toes, or anything very dramatic. So someone needs to be next to you, or you can hopefully feel if you're balanced or not by determining that if someone kind of gives you a little tap, your body shouldn't sway. So it's basically you're almost tight roping it, right? If you have perfect balance, there's no way that you should tilt left or right. So that's something that you would just need to address before you add some weight, and something that you would just need maybe another person to watch you, or maybe record yourself if you don't really have that body awareness to see or feel if your body is a little bit more left or right, or if there's more pressure on your front leg than your back leg, or your weight isn't as distributed as you would like when you're catching a heavy jerk. So that was a lot of words, but for that to be said, that's something that is key to hitting a very consistent jerk and eliminating those inconsistencies so you can be more efficient on those heavier attempts. So with that being said, and me doing these last final snatch pulls, if you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate your time. Like the video if you like it, comment down below if you have anything to add to a warm-up routine. Hopefully I touched on some of the things that you can take and use. If you didn't, let me know. Feedback is great. I appreciate you guys' time. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.